I view emotions as gifts, like the good, the bad, the deep, the joy, the pit of the bottom. I remember my sister and I holding hands when mom was in the hospital one of the times, and we were bawling. And yet we said, "Isn't this delicious?" Like the depth of the grief that we are feeling is in direct proportion to the depth of our love for this woman. And it's all delicious. Like that's what makes life life. Nobody gets out of here alive. So who do we think we are that we're not going to go through this? And how blessed are we get to go through it together.
Hey guys, it's Nancy, and welcome to the She Laughs podcast. Sit down with me while I chat and get personal with some insanely cool women as they share their smarts and their hearts. God gave us each unique gifts, and we got to use them. Inside each one of us is a cool girl. So buckle up. Let's get vulnerable. Let's get real, and let's laugh. Hi, guys. Welcome back to the She Laughs podcast. And I am super excited for our guest today. She is someone who truly walks the walk and talks the talk when it comes to courage, clarity, and calling. And Kristen Hartnagel is a dynamic keynote speaker and personal branding strategist with over 30 years in sales, more than 8,000 hours of coaching experience. Wow. As a founding member of Brand Builders Group, recognized by Inc. 5000 3 years in a row, she's helped countless visionaries clarify their message, amplify their voice, and build magnetic personal brands that open doors to bestseller lists and big stages. But what I love about Kristen is that she brings soul to strategy. She blends her faith, imagination, and practical tools to help people move from fear to possibility and build lives and brands that reflect who they truly are. She's also an amazing, resilient person who will be talking to us also about her personal life and the grief that she has experienced in losing her family members and how she's overcome that too. So, Kristen, welcome today to She Laughs. I'm excited to dive into your story and the heart behind your work.
Oh, Nancy, what a thrill to be with you on today's podcast. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, we're so excited. I know that you are such a busy person who's built a powerful career in helping others shine. But I'd love to start with your story and what led you into this career path. And have you always been so confident about your purpose? Or was there a moment when you had to take a big leap of faith before it all made sense?
Definitely, I had to take a big leap. I would say that I've made it a priority my whole life to make sure I love what I do and I get to do what I love. And so decisions about jobs that I've said yes to all have rotated around. Is it going to bring me joy? Am I going to be fulfilled? Because if it doesn't, I don't want to trade my life for it. But there was a moment in time when I was working for a company where everything that felt safe, the people that I loved working with and for, suddenly weren't there. And I remember having visceral body reactions like, am I going to stay here? Like my palms would get sweaty and my chest would tighten and my breathing would get shallow. And I said to my husband, I don't think I can stay because there feels like such a lack of integrity that I really think I need to go. And he's like, honey, we've got 2 boys in college. You can't go. And I said, but if I stay, I don't know, like I'm not gonna like myself and you're not gonna like me and the boys aren't gonna like me. And so I have to do what I feel I'm being called to do. And so I leapt. I had no idea where I would land. But the 2 people that were the heart of what I was doing at that former company are the co-founders of Brand Builders Group. And when they were no longer there and I didn't feel like it was safe or integrous, they were the first people I reached out to. And when I said, hey, Rory and AJ, I'm no longer there, like you're no longer there, don't even know really what happened, but "What are you doing? And is there a place for me? Because I gotta tell you, if you're digging ditches, I would dig ditches beside you because you're my people." And they were like, "Well, we weren't really able to talk to anybody there, so if you're really done, let's talk about what we're doing." And that was so I'm in on the ground floor as a founding team member with Brand Builders Group, and it's been such a ride. I love it.
Ah, that's awesome because, there's so many of us that live in this fear bubble. Like you were saying, it's like we have 2 kids, we've got kids in college, and there was a lot of room and opportunity for fear to overtake your decision,
Mm,
but you stayed true to yourself and what brings you joy. And I'm always hearing people going through life that they're going through the motions in their
mm.
job. And to do what you did takes a lot of courage. Where did that come from?
Well, I would say I am very blessed to have had a really strong relationship with my mom and my dad and my sister. And so to have felt supported my whole life really gave me this foundation of I know what I'm doing. I will be in demand wherever I want to go. I have skills, I have talent. And so to never be afraid of taking chances and looking for the things that I can do that are in service of others that also really fill me up.
That's rare. A lot of people don't have that in their families and have to go out and find it, on their own, independently of their families. Tell us a little bit about your family because I know you've experienced some loss and how that affected you and your life and your ability to still go out and find joy.
Thank you. Well, I think it's becoming more and more clear. I'm understanding on deeper and deeper levels just how rare it was to have been that close with all of my family members. I hear so many people that have had estranged relationships that they're just hurting so badly, and I'm just never had that, thank God. But so the journey is I love to kind of share this story because my husband and I were on the beach in Mexico because our sons had invited us to experience spring break with them and their friends. And I remember this wash coming over me. It felt like the clouds parted and I was in the lap of God. And it felt like I was this overwhelming gratitude. And I hit my husband and I said, "Do you know how blessed we are? Like, our sons actually want us to be on vacation with them, with their friends. And both of our sets of parents are alive, and my kids, our kids, know all 4 grandparents. Like, I only had one alive when I was growing up, and she's not with us anymore." And just I remember feeling such a deep gratitude, and I think that that was God's gift because it was like, "Hang on, honey, because shit's about to hit the fan." And in the airport, after we went through customs, I got a call from my sister, and she said these words, "Honey, I get to heal from ovarian cancer." And I dropped to my knees, and I remember and I just didn't even know what to say, and she said, "I chose those words really carefully because I don't want you to think I'm fighting it. I don't want you to think I'm battling it. I want your mind to be where my mind is, that I get to heal from ovarian cancer." And the the way that led to me losing all of my family members is that it was as if both of our parents said, "Oh, hell no. There is no way a child of ours is gonna go before us." So they each died. But the biggest gift my sister gave me, was to stay alive long enough to be with our mom as she made her transition, to be with our dad as he crossed over, and I was with her when she died. And so there's nothing more sacred than walking people home and literally being in that space when they die.
Oh my gosh. Okay, there's so much there. Um, wow. Okay, so your sister was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And then your parents each I guess I'm trying to get my arms around the timeline here
So,
and
yeah,
what
I'll
happened.
spell it out. Yeah, so, um, that was 2012 when she was diagnosed. In 2015, we learned that mom had pancreatic cancer, and so within 4.5 months of her diagnosis, she was no longer with us, and then a year almost to the day, our dad discovered that he had multiple systems atrophy, and he passed, like my mom died April 20th and dad died April 21st or something a year later.
Oh, wow.
April
Oh my
26th, actually, because April 26th is my anniversary. It's also the date my husband's dad died a couple of years earlier. So April 26th, I'm like, there's 364 other days, but April 26th, we each lost our dads in different years.
and it was your anniversary. So, your sister, she passed after your parents.
She did. She was with stage 4 ovarian cancer for 7 years, and I
Ugh.
attribute her length of life to the decisions that she made. She did not want to look on the internet. She didn't want us to look on the internet. She said, if you're going to dive deep into that rabbit hole, don't talk to me about it because I don't want to think about anybody else's journey. This is my journey. And I'm going to go within and I'm going to ask, how do I do this differently? And she got so much guidance. She got have fun with it. And she's like, have fun with the cancer diagnosis. That's a good one. But she decided to spell it lowercase c with the word answer, answer. And
Ah.
she used all of her spiritual gifts to, I mean, like, she gathered a group of friends and called them her chemo sabe, and they went in to do chemo treatments with her. They sang, they laughed, they kissed the toxic chemicals of chemo that were gonna get pumped into her veins, and they just did these rituals of fun. And she lived for 7 years.
Oh, golly, what an amazing human she
Mhm.
was. So, I lost my father to pancreatic cancer, um, and
So sad.
it's fast and furious and horrible. You also lost your father right after that and your sister. How how did you function as a mother and a wife during that time, and what carried you through? Because that's heavy, heavy stuff and a lot at once.
Yeah, it is. I would say, because we all had this very spiritual foundation and recognized that we're in a lifetime right now as Kristen or mom or dad or Lauren is my sister's name, but that's not the essence of what we are, that we cannot, the essence of what we are cannot be contained in this lifetime. So we all had an understanding that the essence of what we are goes well beyond this lifetime. And I think, because we all talked about that openly, that I felt them here with me right away. So I didn't really go through I mean, sure, I don't have their bodies to hug, and that is horrible. I want to pick up the phone and talk to them every day like I used to. So their physical presence is no longer here, but they are still all up in my business like you wouldn't believe. And I love that. So here's what I would say. I view emotions as gifts, like the good, the bad, the deep, the joy, the pit of the bottom. I remember my sister and I holding hands when mom was in the hospital one of the times, and we were bawling. And yet we said, isn't this delicious? Like the depth of the grief that we are feeling is in direct proportion to the depth of our love for this woman, and it's all delicious. Like, that's what makes life life. Nobody gets out of here alive. So who do we think we are that we're not gonna go through this? And how blessed are we get to go through it together. So when they were all gone, I remember just deciding, I'm going to view these moments of grief as if I'm inviting these emotions in for tea. I just don't wanna let them unpack their bags. So I
Mm.
tried to become a witness. I was like, okay, is this going to be 10 minutes? Is this going to be 10 hours? Is this going to be 10 days? Because you have every right to feel this way. Feel it, feel it. But how long do you want to feel this way? And that's the only question. And honor it and be there, but make a decision that you don't want it to become your life.
Right. Okay. I'm so glad you added all that because I was about to ask you, did you grieve at all? But it sounds like you did.
I
And
did and do. I will still have reminders that hit me like an unexpected wave that can make me buckle down, but they're still good tears. They're still it's a what a gift we have that we are alive and can experience emotions. So I don't wish those waves away. I relish them and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm still moved because my people aren't really here right now."
right. And when I lost my dad, I'll think of it in just a minute. There's a wonderful grief share.
Mm,
And it's a great program that is online or in person, and it is Christian based. And it was so helpful to me because my grief leader, I did the in person one, she would tell us to grieve at least 15 minutes every day
mm,
because I was like, I don't have time. I've got two boys, I've got work. And I was just holding it all in. And she really was big on scheduling times to grieve because if we shut it out, what I learned was you delay healing and you want to be back into the world and you want to be back living your life that God has given us to live, be among the living, right?
yes.
And so I found myself having to do what you just talked about.
Mm.
um that's incredible.
Yeah, and if you
um
let emotions move through you, then they don't get stuck in you. Because if you don't really process, then you're gonna get issues that settle in your tissues. You can really cause breakdown, physically if you're not permitting yourself to feel. That's why we're here. Emotions are part of the life experience, and so by bypassing that, we're really not bypassing that. It is really going to come out either because you're willing to process it or it's gonna come out in different ways that you want even less.
okay, so I love what you just said, allowing emotions to go through you. But how does somebody listening who is grieving whatever they're grieving, right? Loss of a job, loss of a marriage, loss of a human that they love. How do you allow it to move through you? Like, and practically, how do we do that?
Well, I think it's really like, being a witness to what is happening in the moment and really kind of saying to yourself, "Oh, I see this emotion is here to visit, and let's have some tea. Let's, like, hit the pillow, like, cry ugly tears, but decide how long you want this to be because you can decide it's going to be 10 days where I don't get out of bed and that's okay. That's okay too. But not 10 months, not 10 years. And so if you can have a conversation, so you are not the thoughts you think. You are that which can have thoughts. Emotions are thoughts that we're entertaining. And so allow yourself to entertain those thoughts, to get deep into the way that they feel, but then know that, hey, the more I think it, the more it's going to become a solidified neural pathway. And I can get trapped in cycles of thought. And I don't want a pattern of thinking that locks me into grief. I would rather process it and let it move on. And I'm choosing joy because what I truly believe is that my joy is my job. It's nobody else's job. Your joy is your job. So, how are you going to take responsibility for the way you want to feel? So, again, nobody should tell you that you don't have the right to feel the way you feel. The only question is, how long do you want to feel that way?
Okay, I am loving this. And just for everybody watching and listening, I don't know why. We all know how great God is and that He's sovereign. And I don't know why when I see it, I'm always amazed. I mean, every time I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this. And where I'm going with this is when Kristen and I hopped on. and said the hi, how you doing right before. I was running a little bit late to this episode because my mom has Alzheimer's, and I was on the phone with 3 of the, people at the facility where she is, and it was a really tough call, guys,
Mm,
and we had to make some tough decisions, and then I jump on with Kristen, and she starts talking about grief and how she's lost and persevered, and I thought, "Oh my gosh, we were really, guys, gonna go a whole different direction today with this episode." And so I just think it's a testament to God that He is always walking with us and He never leaves us. And I'm just like, what you're saying is really resonating and helping me today. Thank you. But I want to keep kind of going with that thread. So it sounds in theory really great. Okay, I'm going to give myself, 10 hours, 10 minutes, 10 days, whatever it is. But how did you keep it up and not, we tend to we can get hopeless and we can let that voice of negativity and, kind of let the flame go out of faith or hope. How were you able to keep it alive and be present for your family and your job and your career, because you've been amazingly successful in your career? And how were you able to do that? This is huge. It's not just one or two family members. It's three, and it's not spread out over time. So how were you able to do that?
yeah, I mean, I'm the only one left in my nuclear family, so it's just weird that the people I spent my whole life with are not here anymore. So you're right, it could define me. It could
Yeah.
devastate me. But, one thing that I will say that is a result of my blessing of growing up in a family where we could have deep and meaningful transformational conversations about absolutely anything. One thing is my parents were divorced when I was in 3rd grade, and I feel like I kinda came into this world as an old soul, and I remember as a child in 3rd grade when my parents went through a divorce, understanding they didn't know how to talk to one another. They didn't know how to express what the other one needed, so they stopped being able to show up for each other in the way that each other needed, and I made a vow at that young age. I remember thinking they're expecting the other one to be able to read their minds. And so when I met my husband and we were dating, I said, "I'm gonna be the easiest relationship you've ever had because I'll never make you guess. I will tell you what I need." And so when I was going through grief, I was able to say, I need to be alone right now, or I really just need you to hold me and I want to lay in your lap and just cry. And because I could tell him what I needed, he was able to be there for me and our sons as well. Like, I really want to talk about my sister. Can you just let me kind of vent and just remember her and bring her back, and can you talk with me about what you remember about her? And so how can you give yourself the gift of what you need? And if you don't know what you need, then you need to ask yourself, what do I need? Maybe start journaling. What's going to help me get through this so that you can get the support that you need? I remember my friends whisked me away and took me on a trip to Nashville because they were like, here is a time where I want you to feel the support of our friendship. That's a beautiful thing. Often we don't know
Oh,
what to do for somebody who's grieving.
that is so beautiful. I
Mhm.
love that, because I think our tendency sometimes when we are grieving is to shut ourselves off from friends and family because we don't want our grief to, I don't know, leak out onto them and be, we're trying so hard to stay positive for, those that we love, and that we have a fear of, well, if I'm always grieving, nobody's going to want to be around me, that type of mentality. And what I'm hearing you say is reach out and let them know, communicate exactly what you need, figure out what you need, and then communicate it. Don't wall yourself up away from everybody, right?
That is exactly right. And for those people who are feeling like I don't want to allow myself to go there, then it will feel like a constant pressure on your body because you're not processing it. And that
Mhm.
is has an energetic force field. You're radiating energy all the time. But when you're not
Yeah.
processing and you're thinking, I want to save the people from thinking of me as being in grief all the time, they're still feeling it, whether or not you're expressing it. But by letting it move through you, by actually doing the work of processing it, you're lighter now and you're not holding that. You're not radiating that. And so people will feel that you aren't as needy because you are handling it. You're responsible for that, for doing that work.
Wow. Okay. I love all this. So, what about for the people listening who may be not grieving themselves, but their friend is, or their partner is, or their kids are? How how do we, as people that love the other person, but we're not the ones directly affected by the grief? How do we help them? Because I hear all kinds of things like, "Don't say this, or do that, or don't do that." What do you think are some good general rules of thumb for those people?
I really am appreciative that you're asking this question because I just don't think people know what to do. So,
Mm.
erring on the side of openly communicating, my suggestion is to just be that frank with your friend or whoever's going through this and say, I wish I knew the right thing to do, but I just don't. And the last thing I want you to feel is that I'm pulling away because I don't know what to do. So uh, I don't want to offer to bake lasagna if you don't want that. I don't want to offer to like come and be here for you to cry on if you don't want that. But as you figure out what you need, can you just know that I'm here for you? And if you wanna call or whatever, I just wanna be whatever you need, and if that's nothing, if that's space, that's okay too, but if you don't have that kind of conversation, then you're holding back and they don't know either. Nobody knows what to do if you're not airing it out and talking about it.
Okay. What about if your friend or loved one or whomever it is has a diagnosis that you hear about?
Mm.
Okay. Do you I mean, so many people are afraid, I heard so and so has breast cancer. And nobody not everybody reaches out because they're like, "Oh my gosh, do I acknowledge this? Do I say I know? Do I talk about it when I see them? Do I say anything? Do I just pretend there's nothing going on?" What about in that kind of scenario?
Again, I would err on the side of open communication and just say, "You know what? I heard that you have a very scary diagnosis. I can't imagine what you're going through, but I didn't want to pretend I didn't know or that I did know. I mean, I want to be for you what you need as you're sifting and sorting through this. You're probably going through a lot and I bet you there's going to be times when it's overwhelming. So I won't begin to think I know what you need, but I just want you to know that if you find that you're in need of something, I am here for you."
That's awesome. Okay. Yeah, because that's scary, but just be as transparent as possible, and a lot of us, I think we just get tongue-tied and we run into them at the grocery store or, on the football field or whatever, and we're like, "Hey," and we're thinking, "I should say something, right? Or I shouldn't, I don't know what to say," and then the moment's gone and we haven't, and I've found myself in those positions before, and I've lost that opportunity, and I thought, "Oh, why didn't I say something?"
It's never
And
too late. Pick up the phone, reach out, but every time you're not alone in feeling that way, and if you can multiply that impact, if everybody she is running into is having that deer in the headlights, "I don't know what to do," that is going to increase the sensation of isolation, like, nobody knows what to say,
uh,
I don't know what to say. So, it's never too late. If a situation like that did pass you by, pick up the phone and say, I could kick myself because I was right there with you, and I just really didn't know what to say, and then try and have that
okay,
open dialogue.
okay, I love that. Okay. Well, you've persevered through, you know, incredible loss, and you've, like you said, gravitated and maintained the the pursuit of joy
Mm.
in your professional career. Could you tell us a little bit about, just let everybody know what you do and how you were able to kind of overcome all of this grief and continue to focus on pursuing that joy through your
Yeah.
professional career?
Yeah. So one thing I would say is I have always been a singer-songwriter. My sister and I, would perform together, and so right now, I'm in an all-female rock band. We perform '60s music, and if I didn't have that creative outlet, if I didn't create experiences where I can dance with wild abandon and sing my heart out, I would just be, like, cutting off a part of who I am. So, can you find the things that fill your cup and honor the relationship you have with yourself to make time to fill your cup? And so that's one way I have stayed in joy is I have always been singing. So one time I was with a guitar player and it was just he and now I'm in this band for, like, the last 5 years, and so find ways that you can do that. But also how it's trickled into my professional life as a personal brand strategist with Brand Builders Group, I am helping people make strategic business decisions so that they can become more magnetic. They can attract the right fit clients, that their external facing messaging is super clear and dialed in because you're best positioned to serve the former version of yourself. So, are we really tuned in to how to express our messages in a way that has that attraction factor? Because if you've experienced it, you're going to be able to talk about it in a much more authentic way, and people will assume, "Man, she knows how to talk about the way it feels to have this problem. I bet she has the solution." And so, personal branding is all about that clarity of messaging. Outside of Brand Builders Group, I have a company called Evolve Now. And what I'm doing right now, I'm gearing up for what I call collaborative imagineering. I truly believe that wherever two or more are gathered, we're igniting this exponential manifestation ability. Like we're both in imagination about what it is you want to create with your life. And when it's a small group, like truly masterminds originated in groups that would hold space for what one another was trying to create in their lives. And so this community, it's like a sacred sandbox. It's like a quantum collective joy lab where people are coming together with something that has inspired them, like a book or a movie or a video, or they saw someone speak, and we're coming together to unpack, well, what does that mean to you? What do you want to do differently now that you've had that experience? And what can we hold for one another? So it hasn't even kicked off yet, but I'm super excited because this connection community is really, it keeps you from being in isolation about these things that turned you on. And you know that somebody is in your corner holding space for this to come true in your life. And it's so powerful.
Ah, that's so cool. Okay, a couple things. I did not know about the band, so we're gonna circle back to that. But if
Okay.
somebody wants to find out about Evolve Now, where, because it sounds super cool and I wanna check it out too. I know it hasn't quite started yet, but if somebody wants to find it, where did they go? Where did they
Well,
look?
we can put a link in the show notes that would have a free call, so they can have a free call with me, whether they want to talk about Evolve Now or building a personal brand. So we'll put a link where they can just book a free strategy call, and we can on that call, I'd love to learn, like, where you are and where you wanna go, and if there's a fit for personal branding or if there's a fit for this kind of collaborative imagineering work.
Okay, love that. And then tell us about the band because I wanna check that out too. What's the name of your band?
It's called the Six Pack, so that's the number 6 and then PAK, and, on my Kristen Hartnagel, YouTube channel, one of our videos, Spirit in the Sky, has over 3,000,000 views, so I don't know
Oh
why
my
the YouTube algorithm gods were smiling on that particular one, but it has totally gone viral and it's super exciting. America's Got Talent reached out to us and they were wondering if we wanted to come on the show. That didn't end up happening, but just to be able to be with a bunch of women who are just keeping the dream alive. Like I'm 60 and most of the women in this band are in their 70s. And so
oh my gosh.
we're loving the music because it's such a gift to be able to bring memories back to people and ignite something that makes them want to sing along and dance. And so that's why it feels like I'm in the zone, is because I'm able to just kind of bring it through me and you can just see people light up. So it's like my little girl dream to be playing on a stage in the summer with an audience of thousands. It's super cool.
Okay, this is so cool because this is exactly what our podcast is about here, is not letting fear of what others may say or think or do, or I'm not enough or I'm not good enough, hold us back from pursuing that dream or purpose that God has planted in our hearts. And I love that you're living it out and you're singing, you're dancing, you're bringing others joy with your gift. You are helping others find themselves and their brand. And it's all things that bring you joy. And because you are doing this, you're bringing joy to yourself and others. And
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. It's
Isn't that what
awesome.
we're on the planet to do, is just
Yes, and
when
yes, yes, I did. Yes,
yay.
I love it. Okay, so if somebody's listening and thinking, "I'm ready to step out, but I'm scared," what is the first baby step you would tell her to take?
First of all, I would want them to know that the fear that comes up when you're going to step out of your comfort zone, the fear is just a thought that is trying to keep you comfortable. But if you want to stretch and grow, then you get to be the master of your thoughts. So I have a three-step process. I'll try and say this as quickly as possible. First, detach from that thought. You are not your thoughts. Your brain and your ego is trying to keep you safe by putting these thoughts in your mind. So detach with amusement and say, there, little brain. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to keep me safe, but I'm committed to growth. I want to take risks. So that's detach with amusement. Number two is to reduce to the ridiculous. The reason our not so good thoughts have the power that they have is because we rarely pull them all the way out to look at them. So I want you to reduce to the ridiculous by looking at, what is this thought? Like, what is the worst that could happen? So imagine yourself on this finite point in time, and the future can unfold in an infinite number of ways. When you pull it all the way out, ask yourself, what is the worst that could happen? And then level the playing field. What is the best that could happen? Because the more you give thought to what could happen that is good, the more you kind of bring that more to a neutral or positive level. So reduce to the ridiculous is like to really look at that thought. The third step is invest wisely. Think of your thoughts as currency. You are paying attention, literally. So, what do you want to invest in? Do you want to invest in those puny thoughts that keep you small and keep you staying where you are? Or do you want to pay more attention to what you want more of? And that's what I think imagination is all about. That's why collaborative imagineering is so powerful, because instead of just me being an imagination about what I want, imagine if there was a group of us all getting super fired up about what you want and holding the vision for that to come true. So detach with amusement, reduce to the ridiculous, and invest wisely.
Oh my gosh, this is awesome. I love this. Ah, this is so good. And
Thank
I mean,
you.
and again, I just love how God works. I mean, this has evolved, to use your evolve now, today into something really different than what I thought it was going to be. And it's fantastic. And I
Good.
just think everything you're doing, from the BBG work to the six pack with the ladies, and to Evolve Now, what that's going to become is so inspiring. And
Thank
I'm
you.
very grateful for you
Yeah.
coming
I
here
mean,
today to share this with others, because that's what we want to do, is to inspire the ladies listening to step forward and not be afraid. And you have done that so well. So
well, I
thank you,
appreciate the
Kristen.
opportunity. Thank you so much. Really grateful.
Oh, so fun, so great. And I can't wait to check out the six pack Spirit in the Sky. I'm going to be the 3,000,001 view or whatever it is,
We
because
can put
that's
that
so
link in the
exciting.
show notes too if you want to.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being
Thank
here
you.
today. We really appreciate it. And for all those listening, thanks for listening today, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks so much for listening to She Laughs. If this episode encouraged you, would you share it with a friend who might need a little courage or a reminder that she's not alone? Every share helps more women find their inner cool girl and kick fear to the curb. You can find links to our guests, watch full episodes on YouTube, and connect with me on social at She Laughs Podcast Official, all in the show notes. And remember, the dream inside of you means something. Take the first step. Be brave. God's got your back. And girl, you've got this.